So what am I looking at? The record on this?
I don't know. It says like I can't remember what the picture even looks like. Yeah, it says
Because you sent me an image. It says score 1.
Yeah, you're looking at the record.
To be fair, after your reaction last week when I got last month when I got your score wrong, I think every week now I'm just going to get your score wrong. I didn't. You're getting it wrong. You bastard, you.
That's actually a pretty good impression.
Selecta. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I am, of course, Steve Hill. This month we've been playing Entangled. Is this an iOS game or an Android game or both?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I've just been playing it on the browser.
It's Mark's fault. It was his idea.
Well, as I've just revealed, I've not played it, so I'm last. But in true last place, and joining me, as always, is Mark Botwright. Hello, Mark.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Score of 160?
Yeah.
Whew.
Well, in my defence, I was trying to... I thought there'd be some kind of a score bonus if you filled in all the blanks. I didn't read the instructions. It's my own fault.
And coming in, second place, Leon Matthews. Hello, Leon.
He was talking it up big time, and he beat me.
Still yet to win.
I want to know, was his original score that he sent you, would I have beaten that one? And did he literally just beat me?
I was going to say, we should have had a cut-off point when this podcast started.
Yeah.
Oh, just because you can't start doing this now, just 'cause you've lost. Come on.
I'm going to keep that information between me and Niall.
Okay.
Nice.
No one will ever know.
I like it.
Fair enough.
How much did he beat me by?
It was 208.
Oh, he's not going to be happy with that.
Get out. If it's like by 1 point, I am going to be pissed.
214.
Oh, what? You...
Yes.
Oh.
And the thing is, he literally just notched that about 5 minutes before we started this pod.
2 minutes ago I did that.
In the middle of a conversation with me.
No, there's nothing like leaving it till last minute.
Mark and I were giving you life advice on where to take your career. And little did we know, you were playing Entangled.
I'm just ignoring it, yeah.
So, fellas, it's been a month since we all got together. What we all been playing? We've been having fun. Is there big news to talk about?
Not really.
No.
Pretty much sums it up at the moment.
I've been on, when I can have like an hour to myself, I've been on like LA Noire. Been playing that through again.
Oh, dug that out from nowhere. Well, it's a good few years old now, that.
Yeah, I just picked. I was just looking through my Steam library, to be honest with you. I'm just waiting for I'm just looking for something to play. I played a bit of Mountain Blade Warband because I love that game, but I just noticed LA Noire and thought, why not give it a pop? And I have done. I've played quite a good way through the story now. So
get your interrogation on.
Yeah, get my magnifying glass out.
What are you? Good cop, bad cop? How would you describe yourself?
Evidence. I like collecting the evidence. I don't make any assumptions because assumptions make an ass out of you and me.
Oh dear.
No,
That's a team building exercise.
an arse out of you and umption.
But no, yeah, it's a good game. I've been enjoying it. I have played it through before, so I know what happens.
I was thinking that. I was thinking, could I go back and play LA Noire? Because it is one of those games, once you know what happens, it's just takes the fun out of it. But I think it might be just have been long enough now since I completed it that I couldn't say, oh, I know you're lying because I've played this before.
Yeah, I've forgotten the majority of the cases. I remember a few of them, but I've forgotten a lot of them. I only remember what kind of happens at the end.
Yeah.
So the rest of it is kind of new again to me.
No spoilers.
No. But the rest of it is kind of new to me anyway. So because I've forgotten it's been that long. There has been a few times where I've remembered, there's a vital piece of evidence over there if I go and check, which is a bit. Well, it's kind of cheating, but it's not really.
Yeah, but it's almost like you're a bit of a psychic detective. You could kind of change it up a little bit, change your narrative.
Yeah, kind of. I think it's one of those games that leaves you down a bit of a straight. It gives you those sort of options, but you still get led down a straight path because no matter how many cases you fail, I still think you get promoted all the time.
I've never played it, but I've owned it on about 3 different platforms. They're in my Steam library. for that rainy year where I might just get to catch up on things. I'll tell you what I have played though. CSI on the Xbox.
Oh God!
Amazing for achievements.
You know what? I've played that as well.
Don't you get all the achievements in like 10 minutes or something?
You just complete the cases.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Not
I think
cool.
I ruined LA Noire actually for myself because of achievements. I'm sure there was one to do with completely totaling a car or something like that, or a certain amount of damage throughout the city.
Oh, there is.
I'm surprised. I never had you for an achievement hunter.
I wasn't, but then as soon as I saw, kind of the amount of damage that you could do, I just spent an absolute age kind of driving round, and then I think my 360 froze or something like that, and I just got so sick of driving around, I realised that I'd lost all impetus to bother playing the rest of the game.
It is a really boring game when it comes to just like driving around. There's nothing to do in the world at all. It's kind of a waste of an open world because there's nothing to do outside of the cases. There's a few like random little crimes that pop up, but other than that, it is such a boring world where nothing happens.
Facial stuff's good though.
Yeah, but it locks it to 30 frames a second on PC, which is a bit annoying.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I know you're used to that, but yeah.
Yeah, Leon's going, I don't know what you mean.
Could you hear the disappointment in my voice?
Amazing. 720p never looked so good.
It makes it more cinematic.
I can only see above 24 frames a second
Yeah.
anyway,
Don't-
so we're alright.
If it's above 24 frames a second, it's a waste.
So we are pre E3, which traditionally means there isn't a massive amount of news to talk about.
There's a few rumours floating about, isn't there?
I was going to say, is E3 going to be done by the time we do the next podcast? I know we're talking about Nintendo doing their
10th and 12th, yeah.
Yeah.
What, Nintendo will do something weird?
No, well, they've already said that they're not going to do a big press conference. So that's second year running. They're basically running away and saying...
Misdirection, isn't it?
Well, they just do a Nintendo Direct, don't they? It's at the same time as their
They're
press
gonna
conference
have
would be.
Yeah, Nintendo Direct, and they're going to have various videos and a Smash Brothers tournament. So that'll steal the limelight.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing. So have we stumbled upon an E3 predictions episode?
I think we have, and we should be more prepared for this.
Oh dear.
But yeah, there we go.
Who's in charge? Do you know what? I actually posted on the thread earlier saying, "What's the plan tonight?" And then I read the thread, and there was the plan.
Oh, apparently there's an Uncharted PS4 3-minute trailer showcasing in-game footage.
It's not broken. Don't
with
worry.
Gameplay segments.
We're still making it. It's still good.
The visuals are supposedly unprecedented and set a benchmark for console graphics.
Okay.
Nice. What else we
Isn't
got?
there like 4 people working on Uncharted now at this point?
Well, they all quit, or they all been shown the door, or something.
Yeah, loads of people have been leaving.
God of War 4.
God of War, is that still a thing?
Just how angry can he possibly be by now?
Aren't they all dead? All the gods?
Talk to me about this this new Call of Duty. Come on, let's rip the piss out of Call of Duty for about.
Oh
5
no,
minutes.
no, but it's got a new engine. Ooh.
Is it actually a new engine?
Yeah, no, it's apparently who is it that are doing it? Is it
Sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer? Yeah, I think they've made a brand new engine for it.
Okay.
Talk to me. When was the last time this game had a new engine?
Well,
Call of Duty 2.
yeah.
I'm not even lying. Call of Duty
Literally,
2.
Well, it depends on how you want to define new engines, to be honest. It's like, in reality, like, the engine that Call of Duty runs on, it's like, isn't it like the Quake 2 engine or something?
I think it is, yeah.
That's been redone and bolted on, and so it's not exactly the same engine, but the foundation goes back like years and years and years. So I'm sure if you look at the engine that was COD 2 and the engine that's Black Ops, it's probably pretty wildly different, but it's just fun to say that they haven't had a new engine.
And Kevin Spacey is somehow been convinced to be part of this project. I mean, that's an odd fit. It's not just me, is it? That's an odd fit.
Kevin Spacey's hot right now, man.
Is he?
He is. Oh, he's hot.
House of Cards.
Call of Duty House of Cards.
Yeah, pretty much. And this is the problem when anyone like that gets cast in one of these roles. Like, he's too much Frank Underwood for me at the moment. So when I'm hearing him talking over that trailer, which is the trailer that they got leaked and they put out. All I can hear is Frank Underwood, even though it's slightly different accent, but it's just a bit weird.
I've got to say, of all the actors I thought I'd seen in video games, I never thought Kevin Spacey would be one.
I think he'll do
Money
well.
talks.
It's like a bit of a sellout. You're just not that sort of character, not that kind of dude.
I don't know.
It's the kind of thing where
treading the boards.
they just want to try something different, Money's waved in front of them, you'd do it.
I think Kevin Spacey likes new things, though. I mean,
I'd do it.
Can you say the words, let's do this?
Tango down.
What's my motivation? Talk me through.
You're about to breach into a door. It's probably going to be in slow motion. There's bad guys on the other side.
There's dubstep everywhere.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen, but you're probably going to kill everybody.
And you've got to do it in your best Bo Selecta accent.
Let's do this.
You actually did nail that.
Come on, guys, let's do this.
This is the thing, though. Like, I mean, have you seen the Snoop Dogg pack for Black Ops 2?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where you can have a pack where he's then the announcer for everything.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
I am not even lying. If you haven't seen this, you need to stop right now and go and look at this. It's literally Snoop Dogg going, "You got that Predator drone, son."
It's not even exaggerating either.
Literally, headquarters, boys. Let's do this.
That first Snoop Dogg album was one of the first albums I ever bought. And I remember, I think it was a Borough Market or Camberwell Market, somewhere. It was a market somewhere. And there was a dude selling all these pirate cassettes. But they even have, like, covers. So they look like the real deal. And I remember getting home and putting it on, listening to this album, thinking, oh, my God, this is brilliant. And then fast forward 20 years, and he's doing money supermarket ads and just, oh, what a sellout.
Getting that money, do whatever you can. But no, yeah, if they did a Bo Selecta pack, it'd probably sell better, to be fair.
I'd buy it.
I would buy it. I'd buy Call of Duty just so I could buy it.
But
calling in an airdrop. Come on, Kesh. Come on, Kesh. Come to Craig David.
But yeah, Advanced Warfare, that's what it's called. Original name.
Well, what's going to be different? Have they made any kind of?
It just looks like Crisis.
Hang on,
basically.
I've got a quote. I saved it and everything just for this exact moment.
Because it's all going to be an exciting and new. All this new features never seen before.
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
Here we go. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is going to be a bit different than previous COD games for one reason. You'll be outfitted with a slick cyber suit that will allow you to boost dodge, climb with magnetic gloves, jump in unrealistically high, hover in midair, and enable optic camouflage.
See, I told you, it was Crisis.
And what does that sound like to you? Jump unrealistically high.
I mean, this is revolutionary.
Optic camouflage. Why not just put massive giant robots in it as well?
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare now with added Titanfall.
Basically. So yeah, I mean, let's be honest. They've got to do something, and it has to be something to do with mobility, really, doesn't it? Because that's the only way they can probably realistically change the game.
But is this where we've gone, though? That we've kind of done realistic military shooters, that they're kind of dead now, that everything's going to start branching off into, cybernetics and, superpowers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's probably going to be this generation's modern World War II or something, I'd imagine.
I don't know, I'd think Red Orchestra had a free weekend on Steam the other week, and you should see how many people are playing that now. That's boomed on Steam, and so on Rising Storm as well, actually. That was 75% off, I think, and that people playing that like mad at the minute. So I don't think that people are writing off these really hyper-realistic shooters. I think they're still going strong. I like playing them.
I don't think the shooter's not going anywhere. It's just how they handle the genre. People like something which is pick up and play. First-person shooters work particularly well, in that realm of I want to play for 10, 15 minutes at a time, maybe even a little bit less in Titanfall's case. And it's just a shift, all they're doing is kind of slightly tweaking the genre. So I'm just surprised it took them so long to do it, because they must have known Titanfall was in development, and they could have beat it to the punch if they wanted to. Don't you think?
I don't know. The cynic in me thinks, I don't know, is this a response to Titanfall? Jumping really high, cloaking, that sort of stuff. I mean, games are generally in production for quite a while, so you've got to think that they've been working on this for a little while. But
sorry, but you see it with Hollywood studios all the time. You know, kind of 2 films about Alexander the Great coming out at the same time, or if someone gets a sniff that someone else is working on something, it inevitably kind of converges in terms of release.
Yeah, it's Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Or Matrix and the other one with Batman in it. Equilibrium.
Ooh. Oh, there's more. There has to be.
Oh, you can't get it there, can you?
We'll come back to this. I'm sure one's going to pop in my head.
To be honest, though, everybody's kind of ragging on this, like, oh, it's just another Call of Duty game, they're copying Titanfall, this stuff. I am still kind of interested in it, surprise, surprise. But mainly for the single player, because I haven't really had a good single player first-person shooter for quite a while. And I guess that's probably why I haven't really been playing a lot recently, to be honest. Not that I don't play anything but first-person shooters. But nothing has really really drawn me in recently. I mean, Titanfall was good, don't get me wrong, but I've not even played that for quite a while. I don't know what
I was going to say, Titanfall was good.
Titanfall is good.
Interesting use of language.
It is good.
I haven't played it in about 6 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's not that it hasn't grabbed me. Well, obviously it hasn't because I haven't really been playing it, but I don't know.
I've been exactly the same. You know what I think it is? I think in a strange way, almost the beta gave too much.
Maybe.
It seemed like as soon as you realised that there was no real campaign to it, there was just a kind of meaningless string of cutscenes that were tied into just ordinary matches. It just seemed like I don't know. I was waiting for that kind of ace up the sleeve, that extra something that I said, I had no idea that this was going to be in the game, and that never arrived. But there again, I mean, are you pinning your hopes that the next Call of Duty will have that good single-player experience?
I'm not dying for it to be the best single player I've ever played, but I think maybe you might be right that Titanfall maybe showed its hand too completely too soon. Like, the beta really was the game. When you got the full game, there wasn't really much else to do. It was just playing more of that. Whereas normally, you'd get the single player. I would always play that religiously before I played multiplayer. I didn't really care about people running ahead of me. So I'd play a good 8 hours of a game in single player, and then I would move on to multiplayer, and I'd be getting more gameplay out of that, getting right into it. Whereas Titanfall didn't really have that same cycle, which at the time I didn't really think was a bad thing. I thought, this is kind of just the way shooters are going to go. But I think I really did miss the single player. I really do like a good single player, and that's why I'm looking forward to Wolfenstein now, because that is looking really, really good. There's no multiplayer, it's just pure single player, and it just looks like a fun experience to have.
Rich narrative as well, and there's plenty of places for big set pieces as well.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of what you want. You got this new console, and you want to see them throw everything they can at the screen. You want to be able to just roll through, not necessarily with other people, but just having a good time on your own, picking through a story. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether Titanfall really did lose a lot more than just a single player campaign. I think single player is worth more than a lot of people think it is. Call of Duty, at the very least, will have a vaguely decent single player. I think that's just what I like. I do like Call of Duty single players.
I didn't buy the last one, and it will take a lot for me to buy the next one. But, I always take it at face value. We'll see what...
All it will take is a Steam sale. And you know it.
Do you know what? I've never owned a Call of Duty game on a PC, not one. Not one.
Interesting.
It was always, and I say this every other podcast, and I apologise, listener, if I am boring you to tears, but it was always about the social experience for me. There was a core group of lads, and at one stage, I think it was probably as many as 30 different guys that I could have been on with at any time.
Yeah.
From different groups, people I knew in real life, people I didn't know in real life, but I knew online, and it just made the experience so much better. And maybe the games, have always been this way. It was just that social experience. I hoped that I would get that experience back with Titanfall, but it's symptomatic of where I am in life as well. So
I think that's it. You can't really turn back the clock. There was a moment in time, like I remember when Call of Duty 4 was out, and I was working in a different job to what I am now. Everybody in the office, we were all meant to go out on a staff night out on that very evening, and by the time it got to the end of the workday, we talked ourselves out of having a staff night out, which we'd planned for about 2 weeks, and we all just went home and played Call of Duty together. That's pretty sad.
Right there. I got married and had 2 kids since I played Modern Warfare literally every day for a whole summer.
Yeah. So maybe
my son plays more games than me on the iPad now.
Maybe it's not the games, maybe it's us.
No, it's the games.
Yeah. I was going to say, we'll have to find something else to come and say nothing about every month.
But I do find my habits have changed. I really do. Like I do play. I play more first-person shooters than the average person. Still, that's still a thing with me. But I don't play them as religiously as I used to, and I do quite enjoy playing games on my own now. Possibly more than I did a few years ago.
What gets you moist now? What's the what's the kind of genre that you'll be skipping down to your local game to send David cash? Oh, actually, you're all digital now, aren't you? So
I am. Yeah. I don't do discs. But I still think first-person shooters are it. But I think it's I love story anyway. I was a big story guy, but I think I've just more focused on that these days. I will play a multiplayer game, but I'm not. I don't feel that pull these days that, oh my god, I need to be the best in the lobby. I need to get my kill to death ratio up to above all of my friends, and I don't actively enjoy hunting people down and killing them, which I truly did. I like to stealth join your game and stab you 5 times and then leave. Like that was kind of my thing. But now
it does feel like we are missing a Skyrim, or in your case Fallout type game.
Yeah.
Just to all get very excited about and have that water cooler moment at work the next day. But of course, you don't really get those games in the summertime. There's no reason to. We should all be in pub gardens, socialising or pulling. Or
I guess that's what we're waiting for E3 for. I mean, if there was one game that I would ask them to release at E3 or announce as Fallout 4. If they announce that, then I'm just so set.
We've had all these weird rumours of web URLs being registered and other bits and bobs that say it's coming, and then it was all retracted or said it was a hoax. I mean, surely it can't be far off. Someone somewhere must be working on it, right?
Maybe. I don't know about it though, because I was disappointed with Skyrim a little bit. So yeah.
Well, that's crap, but
There's that old there's that saying that everyone comes up with, isn't it? That it's as wide as an ocean but as deep as a puddle. I kind of agree with that a lot.
Wide as an ocean, as deep as a puddle. I think that's really, really unfair. That was a great game, a great experience. I reckon you could even just reskin it with pew 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 pew, and you'll be there playing it.
This is probably true.
I remember the train ride home when I picked up Fallout 3, and I'm wrapping the cellophane and pulling out all the bump, and just the art style and the way they'd done the manual. I just thought it was just so great. It was so rich. I'm ready to go back into that universe.
But those are the kind of games, I mean, that you need, should we say, a decent kind of install base of consoles before you're going to see them, because it seems like that we're still in that stage of cross-generational games coming out. I mean, it's only it actually makes the news on a gaming site if a game is coming out that isn't being released on the 360 or the PS3 at the moment. So it was so much in the infancy of things that I think that that kind of game would have to be just kind of next gen only. And so it must cost so much to develop that huge kind of 100-hour story and that kind of thing, that they must be waiting until probably this time next year maybe.
Yeah,
mate, I'd buy a Wii U if it was a Wii U exclusive.
Oh, so would I. They need a couple Christmases behind them, don't they? A couple of mainstream pickups, and then it took till 2007 for. I mean, 2007 was the year for the last generation. That's when like Fallout came out, Call of Duty 4 came out. So yeah, they need those big numbers to be able to make it financially viable. So we're in the drought right now. This is probably the worst part of the console cycle. Just after launch, the summer after launch.
Summer after launch with the World Cup on as well. So there are a lot of factors riding against things coming out at the moment.
But that's when you get all those classy games where they just take advantage, such as, I don't know, Need for Speed Rivals, which isn't particularly great, but I'm sure it sold way more than it should have done.
Well, apparently there's no Need for Speed in 2014.
There isn't, which is quite surprising. Maybe they've even gone, well, there's no point because the new consoles aren't selling that much. Or maybe they actually do think that they could deliver the best experience if they left it a year.
Is that a swipe at someone?
Well, I'm not saying that Call of Duty could do with leaving it a while, but maybe they could. But then that's leaving a lot of money on the table, isn't it?
God, yeah. Who else would hoover up all those extra sales?
But there again, I mean, we used to absolutely lay into Assassin's Creed, and then Assassin's Creed 4 came along, and it seemed to win over absolutely everyone.
To be fair, yeah, it did win me over.
Yeah, we were all cynical. Oh God, it'll be terrible with just a few pirate ships, and then everyone came on and said after they bought it, everyone admitted buying it and said, actually, I really like the ships.
Because it wasn't an Assassin's Creed game, though. That's why.
Yeah.
They made a different game and called it Assassin's Creed. Which is, I mean, I'd make a different game. That's cool. I enjoyed that game, but just don't call it Assassin's Creed. Call it Pirates of the Caribbean. Because that's what it was.
Well, we're going to have Watch Dogs out later this month, won't we?
Yeah.
We're all super excited about that, obviously.
Who's down to review it? Someone must be. Someone has stuck their hand up first, I'm sure.
There's a race to the bottom for that bad boy.
Was it really?
Well, I don't think it wasn't a race to the bottom. Whereas, I suppose the hype isn't as much as it used to be. But
see, I thought this had your name all over it.
Yeah, kinda. But see,
the whole cyberpunk hacker thing.
I mean, it does. But the problem with these open world games is they're not usually that short, and they're quite an investment in time. And trying to get them out pretty quick is possibly more annoying than it should be. And this one has lost some of its magic for me, let's say. I'm still going to get it, and I'm still going to play it, no doubt. But I can see myself, like, I think Grand Theft Auto, the first one I finished was 4, but I played every single one before that and never ever finished one. I have a feeling I might do the same thing with Watch Dogs. Start it, get quite the way through it, and then never finish it.
I always said that's like the biggest insult you can make to any movie is to walk out before it's done.
God, if that was said the same for games, then I mean, how many people actually finish games? Not that many.
There are games that I've absolutely loved that I haven't finished.
What? How do you do that?
Well, Oblivion.
Because you don't want it to end.
Yeah, honestly, well, I played Oblivion so much that a little bit like I was saying about LA Noire, I got kind of sidetracked in doing something completely inane, and then by the time that I actually kind of got back round to the story, I just moved on. Other things come out, and you just think, oh no, I will go back to that because I do enjoy it massively. But then, just different things come along. At some point, I will finally finish off Oblivion and clock in somewhere past 150 hours in that game probably, and do the same with Skyrim.
Oblivion was great. I used to stay up late playing that, and I'd get the map out and sort of spread it out across the floor, and I'd always sort of go to bed quite knackered, so I'd leave it out. My wife would come down in the morning and just see this map there and just think, what on earth was going on last night?
Did you have the pack with the coin as well?
No, I didn't have anything special edition like that. It was just a map. It was actually quite useful.
It was the first ever Elder Scrolls game I had, and I went into it not knowing that you could fast travel. So I walked all the way from Greville to Anvil, and it took me a good about 2-3 hours to do it. And honestly, even when I found out that you could fast travel, I didn't regret it because it was really good.
Just that opening sequence. I guess it was almost a tutorial level with all voiced by Patrick Stewart.
Yeah,
man, that was good.
See, now those sort of games, I can understand not finishing that because Fallout's the same. It's like 100 small stories. So you'd play a mission, you'd get an entire little short story, and then move on with your life. So the wide overarching story, not a problem. But if you said to me that you got halfway through a tight linear story and just went, I'm loving this, but I don't really care what happens.
Oh no, anything kind of sub 20 hours
Yeah.
You can burn through if you really enjoy it, but it's stuff as soon as it starts getting towards the kind of 40-hour mark, things kind of tail off, I find. Particularly, which is why I think that Watch Dogs, I've got a funny feeling that's actually going to be kind of tighter than perhaps it's shown to be. I think that I can't see there's going to be that much variation in the world in the extra little kind of side quests. It might end up almost a little bit like LA Noire, kind of lots of little repetitious kind of things to do that you could try to lose yourself in, but ultimately it looks more like it's going to be story driven.
I don't know. I'm not. I think it's going to, because Assassin's Creed 4 was the same for me, and it's Ubisoft again. I was, even on this very podcast, I said that I was really enjoying Assassin's Creed 4. I didn't finish it though. Got maybe a third of the way in, maybe just under half, and then just went, I don't need to play this anymore.
But you were saying that you were really enjoying, the kind of boat with the shanties and upgrading things like that. There's going to be nothing really like that in Watch Dogs, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I was enjoying collecting the shanties and stuff, but I think the problem with open world games is I tend to be Mr. Do Everything. So I was clearing out all of the islands completely, trying to collect absolutely everything. So I think I just burnt myself out on collecting things. When you just take a step back sometimes and go, all I'm doing is collecting 17 different things.
It's definitely not the way I play a game sometimes.
That's exactly how I was with Oblivion, though, which was seeing all those little caves with a little cleared, and trying to say, right, I've done everything on this side of the map. And then after a while, you just kind of say, I don't know if I'm actually enjoying this or whether I've decided to turn this into a chore now.
I just stopped playing it, and then next thing I know, I haven't played it for 3 months. So I don't know if Watch Dogs is going to be like that, but we'll see.
Sometimes games get that right, though. Do you remember the orbs in Crackdown?
Oh, yeah, they were good.
So that was fun.
But they were very rewarding, because you would, the second you got that agility orb,
they'd power you up.
Yeah, you would be jumping higher, or your accuracy would be improved.
The worst thing, though, was the noise, because you'd start to imagine it.
Yeah.
And then you just stop. It was like that.
Is that all? Can you hear that?
You suddenly turn to the whole room and go, shh, shh.
And you're like, you're spinning your surround sound. So you're spinning your crown. You're like, is it over? I can... Yeah. Yeah.
Calling other people into the room. Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
And then in Crackdown 2, they made them run away from you. That was just cold.
It never recaptured the same magic as the first one for me, though.
No, definitely not. But if they announced another one at E3, I would be totally into it.
Star Wars, is this an interesting
thing? It was only simply because about kind of story-driven things.
Star Wars? What
Star Wars, all Star Wars games that have been or released are now considered non-canon. So basically everything in the expanded universe, but it sounds like everything moving forward will have to be connected.
Which makes perfect sense. You spend $2 billion or whatever it was they spent. You want to kind of unify it and get it going in the direction you want it to go.
So hang on, sorry, I'm not really understanding this story. They've come out and said that anything in the Star Wars...
What they've said is, all of that stuff in the past is the past. And that was fun, but that's not relevant. You had your fun, but don't be talking to me about this book you read or that book you read or this comic.
I don't want to know about the Force Unleashed.
Okay, I don't want to hear about that.
Right, okay.
Okay, this is where we're headed, and you'll fall in line or you'll be left behind.
Okay.
That's basically what they're saying.
Good to know.
Which I think is good. I think it's good for the series, and it needed unification. And I've said before, I think Disney are a great company to deal with that. And they've done okay with the Marvel stuff, so there's no reason to fear with the Star Wars things. What did you all think about the cast announcement? Were you excited about that? You all big Star Wars fans?
I'm not really a Star Wars fan, to be honest with you.
How old are you now?
I am 22.
22. So
yeah.
Star Wars for you really is the prequels, I guess.
Essentially, yeah, but I never really watched them either, to be honest with you. I've just never really bought into the series. Yeah. I don't know if I've not given it a chance or I've just not been interested.
Oh, a huge part of it is obviously the period that you were born in. Mark will back me up on this, I'm sure. it's just it was everywhere. It was every kid was into it when I was growing up, you know.
Yeah, I think though, in a strange way, for those kind of people born slightly after it, as you know, you and me, Steve. For me, it was like the toys. The toys were kind of like the first thing that I became properly aware of, and then you started to notice that actually it matched up with this strange film that got played like every Easter or something.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I was born the year it came out, so there's no way I was going to be caught up in that hype.
My cousin had the Millennium Falcon.
I like Boba Fett's ship, and it came with the Carbonite Han Solo. It's in the fridge with the Carbonite Han Solo.
Yes,
What?
yes.
A fridge. It's like a fridge door with Han Solo, like just kind of frozen in it.
That's pretty cool.
It's amazing. It's well cool.
I'm like Niall. I just never ever got into Star Wars, which is really weird because it's totally my sort of thing, sci-fi.
I am surprised. I thought it would be your your bag.
I think I might have got caught up in the Trekkie Star Trek versus Star Wars thing and decided on the Star Trek side.
Okay. Well, I was very excited to see the cast announced. Adam Driver's his name's been around it for like eons anyway, so that was no surprise.
Who's he?
But he's in a show called Girls, which is an HBO show.
Is that awful show?
Yeah, awful, brilliant. I mean, who's to say?
It's the one that follows the two obnoxious women.
Yeah, I love it. It's very hipster.
Yeah,
and I can see why some people might not like it. But anyway, he plays a character in that, and the first time I saw him, I thought he had real star quality. And as far as I can tell, he's going to be the big bad guy, or at least a bad guy in the new films. And I think he's going to be a superstar. So, yeah,
So
I'm
do you think
really looking forward to it.
Do you think then the game is going to just kind of be like a direct correlation to the films then? If they release anything now?
I think they'll just be very canny with all their spin-offs. I think it's such a rich universe that they can do things that will tie in yet not have any kind of great spoiler effect or undermine anything that anyone's doing. You know, if it was cleverly done the first time with the marketing and the toys and everything else, this time it's got to be a work of art. Like it's everything has got to be just so slick and so clever because the investment's huge, the people that are attached.
I just don't see. I can't see how that's going to work for the games though, because other than kind of a few decent comic book tie-in games, generally anything that does use a pre-existing license, it has to be given some room to kind of breathe, something that it can do of its own. Did you see any of the concept art for 1313?
That looked pretty cool, actually.
It looked little bits and bobs.
It looked Blade Runner, and you just think this is cool. I would play something, a Star Wars game like this. But it's the kind of thing that I can't see ever getting greenlit if it's kind of just going off at a complete tangent. Everything now I can see being, it's got to tell either a story from the film or, something that's so connected that people feel that they've got something that ties in. I just worry that it's going to be a little bit too constrictive and that we're not going to get any really kind of interesting Star Wars games. It's going to be, if the film's poor, then the games will just have to follow that, and it'll be back to kind of the bad old days.
Yeah, that sucks. That's kind of one of my pet hates as well. It's like, you don't need to be tied that directly into the license. In fact, it probably hinders it. Any licensed property these days, the best thing about licensed properties is when they ignore the film or something, or a tie-in. I mean, Transformers games are just the epitome of that. Whenever they're tied into a movie, they're absolutely rubbish. Whenever they're not, and they're related,
they're really good fun.
They're actually really, really good. They're awesome when they're not bogged down by the actual source material or trying to be like a movie and shoehorning in like Megan Fox in a little corner just because she's in the film. Like, no one really cares.
What's the benchmark here for something with as big ambitions as this and as wide a universe as this that sells a t-shirt, sells a soundtrack, and crucially sells video games as well?
Ooh. I'm not sure there is one, is there?
No.
Well, you mentioned Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek's pretty expansive.
The game was awful.
Yeah, it's never really had any kind of success in games. Am I being unfair? I can't think back to Star Trek game. I would have.
There hasn't really been one.
Yeah. Transformers, not really as rich or as big a universe, so I guess it doesn't really count.
Let's not talk about that.
So there isn't really. I mean, I suppose you could say Marvel, but that's really a new phenomena.
Kind of got Lord of the Rings in a sense.
Yeah, but I there hasn't really been loads of video games over the. In fact, I'd love to know how many Star Wars video games it's been over the years.
Many. But talking of Lord of the Rings, they've got a tie-in game coming up for next gen, haven't they? Shadow of Mordor, is it?
Assassin's Creed Mordor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It actually looks kind of good.
It does actually. Well, I don't like to admit it, but I think it looks really good.
Yeah, and for me to say that as well is actually.
I was going to say, are you into the whole Lord of the Rings thing?
No, I hate it. But this game, the concept of it, I mean, it's in the universe of Lord of the Rings, but it's not. Hey, look, there's Frodo going to drop the ring off into the volcano. I'm part of the story. Like, it's not that directly tied in. And it actually looks like it's got some cool gameplay stuff going on. So, it can be done. You can use the world, because the world is the best thing about most of these properties. The world that they're in, like Star Wars, that's a huge world. I mean, how many different stories could you tell about, I don't know, clones, or just the planet Endor, or 1313?
You could basically do L.A. Noire within that universe, no problem.
Exactly. But no, they seem to be super obsessed with tying it into a 2-hour movie. But
have they actually said that though? Are we getting hot under the collar over nothing?
Well,
all they've said is that, look, what's gone before is not the universe we are looking to establish now. We're going to go back to basics, establish all of these new characters going forward, this universe, the politics, the economics, and then from there there'll be a lot of spin-offs.
But here's the problem, which is
dive down lots of rat holes,
But if it's got to be connected, and if stuff going before is non-canon, so therefore everything going forwards is canon. Things like Knights of the Old Republic, where you can suddenly just say, actually, there was this, in a time before, there was this really kind of, badass Sith Lord who you've never heard of before, but you can accept it. Because, no one's ever mentioned this in any of the Star Wars movies, but that doesn't matter. All of a sudden, you can't interject that kind of thing, this kind of grand evil presence who's, badder than Vader and everyone else combined, if everything has to be canon. Because someone will just say, hang on a minute, no one's mentioned him in the films.
But remember, these are films that take place after the event, so none of this stuff would have happened anyway. Nothing's established. It's all open ground. There's no rules here.
But the fact remains, you can't do anything universe shattering with it.
Yeah, you can't go too far back because otherwise something hasn't been mentioned, so it can't be something that would affect something that's already technically predestined to happen in the films, and you can't go too far forwards, otherwise you're basically predestined. You're kind of running ahead of where the films are going to go. So it's where do you box it in, which only leaves you one option, which is recreate the films in game form. And other than GoldenEye and maybe a couple of the Marvel games, I can't really think of much else that managed to do that well.
Ooh, I was just looking at a top 10 list of the best movie licensed video games, and you hit number 1 right there, GoldenEye.
Yeah. Well, I think it's in good hands. I think the only benchmark really you can judge it against is Marvel at the minute. And really, is it a massive surprise that everything is going to revolve around this film that's going to come? We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to let the 6-year-old boy in me dictate my head and say that this is all going to be brilliant.
And when you get the game, you'll spread out the map.
Do you know what? It's more likely to be my son playing the game this time round, but so be it. I'll hand the baton on.
Oh, I've got some more news from the Sony leak.
Oh, go on then.
Right.
This is like breaking news. Update.
There's something on their show that they're going to do. Apparently, there'll be big titles announced for the Instant Game Collection, a segment on Project Morpheus, one of the Sony Entertainment Network, and reintroduction of PlayStation Now. Price drops will also be unveiled for the PS3 and PS Vita. we'll see several smaller scale downloadable titles. PS Vita will get more attention, but not much.
About time.
PS3 will get a montage and a few new indie titles. And finally, this is the big one, the show will close with a teaser of a sequel to The Last of Us.
Interesting. Hang on, what? Knowing how that game ends... What?
It doesn't have to really follow those characters, does it? I think if they're going to do a sequel to The Last of Us, I'd be happy just to play a completely different story, but in that world.
Okay.
L.A. Noire in The Last of Us.
Detective Cole Phelps.
Interesting. It'll certainly be an interesting E3 because it'll be the one.
I think it's going to be most interesting because we've had the whole next gen thing, and we're not really expecting too much by way of hardware, but everybody wants to say it was their show, so it'll be interesting for that.
They can't hit the same. I mean, from Sony's point of view, I don't think they can hit the same kind of, we're the ones friendly to indies and that kind of thing again. I think they'd be in danger of kind of repeating themselves there. I think they've got to go kind of all in with the Vita PS4 kind of connection.
Like on PS3, you can download all the classic PS1 titles like Crash Bandicoot and Metal Gear Solid and stuff. For some reason, you can't do that on the Vita. And this patch came out, and then these games just popped up on the marketplace, so people started buying them like absolute crazy, thinking that these games had finally been released on the Vita. And then Sony released, in inverted commas, a fix, and it took all these games off the marketplace. Now these people who bought these games still have them. They don't work perfectly. Yeah, they don't work perfectly, but they can still use them. Okay. And apparently Sony never meant for it to happen, and people are quite annoyed because they're saying that they should have been in the Vita's sort of list of features from day one.
Yeah,
and
totally.
It's happened, and then they've fixed it by taking them away again.
I'm often wondering, like, all these services now, they're saying that they're going to... I'd imagine Microsoft are going to come up with some sort of thing where you can play old games on the new system or cloud storage or whatever it is. But having bought them, let's say you bought this digitally, can they charge you again for it on the new system? Or should you really just be able to download it again because you bought it the first time?
I think you should be able to download it again, but I don't see it happening like that.
What are you talking about? Box copies you've got? Or?
Like, at the end of the last generation, I basically converted my entire library of 360 games into digital games. So I have my Xbox, and it has about 90 games on it. So, let's say I bought GTA 5 at the end of the last generation, and then they say, right, GTA 5 is available on the Xbox One. Should they really be charging us for that?
Absolutely not.
But I guess that's basically Tomb Raider, which they did charge. And I bought.
Nice.
So yeah, not really.
So you're the problem, basically.
Yeah, basically that's what I'm saying. I'm answering my own question by saying you're stupid because you're buying them anyway.
I've asked this question before. Like, really, what kind of value do those old titles have? Of course, someone will buy them here and there, but what? Maybe a couple of 100 units a year. I mean, it's nothing. If you're going to start doing on-demand stuff, do the Netflix model and just say, all you can eat, have whatever you want.
But if they were to say, right, okay, we've got all of these games from last generation. If you didn't buy them digitally, then well, never mind. But if you did, guess what? It's all free. You can basically have what you bought from the last generation. I'd be...
Even that would be, just an amazing
gesture. Punching the air with my fist.
Well, you're getting a lot of kind of cross-buy stuff on between Vita and PS3 and that kind of thing.
So it can be done.
Yeah. So if you bought it on Vita and then it's released for, PS3 or something like that, then you get to download it again. But it can be done. But the question is, do they want it to be done?
And moving forwards, let's say 4 to 7 years from now, I'm buying everything digitally this time.
God, 7 years from now, can you imagine? You might have 1080p, mate.
Oh, man, you're never going to let this go, are you?
Oh dear.
But when the next generation comes down, assuming there is going to be one, how does that work? Do I have to buy more games again if I want to play this generation's games on the next one? Where does it end, guys? Where does it end?
I think now, at least now, if you've got a Steam library, or in your case, an Xbox digital library of games you've been buying for the One, it's clear there that you've owned it. It's perpetual. Do you see what I mean?
Well,
what we've had, we're never going back to.
But at some point, surely all of these vendors should just go, right, this is just the Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox Live collection. Like, amalgamate everything. And I'm not saying, I'm sure it's going to be a pure headache going backwards compatibility and all that sort of stuff. But, at some point the hardware gets so impressive and so powerful that it can just emulate every single.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think backwards compatibility will always be that big a deal, because it's just virtual machines, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, consider some of like the toughest things to emulate on a PC. There are kind of games on the N64 that people still struggle with.
Sure, but as I said before, that's a time that's gone. Do you see what I mean? Though it's different now. We'll never go back to that. Those are problems that we've had.
Yeah, but the point is, will the architecture that they're currently building machines on, will that be what they'll be building them on in the future? We've already made these jumps several times.
I think what I'm saying is it is presumptuous, but I'd be very surprised if there was a virtual machine that couldn't run anything going forward.
That's the question, isn't it? Because then that's ultimately going forwards in the future. I would like 10 years from now to sit my son down and go, right, I'm going to show you some Call of Duty 4. Check this out.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not the same as sitting down with your kid and putting on a classic Jimi Hendrix or Beatles album. That's different. Those things will always have value in the same way that they had value back in the day. Whereas a video game, it will date. It'll always be a great game, but it will date incredibly.
There's still value in it, though.
There is, but not in the same way of maybe a classic movie or a classic album. Not for me, anyway.
The problem is visual standards change. Audio standards, something that was kind of pretty much a lossless recording many moons ago, or someone who listens to vinyl, that's as good as it's going to get for them. Whereas in terms of kind of visual fidelity, if we're all kind of watching on 4K sets or something like that, or VR's become the norm, then me kind of loading up Crash Bandicoot won't look very great to my grandson.
Yeah, I mean, video games are very much a product of their time and the technology that exists at the time. But are you saying that there's no game that you go back to now that is, say, 20 years old or whatnot, that you don't think has value playing these days?
I would love to do a controlled test where we get a group of people and just dig out some classic games from their past. I reckon they'd be interested for maybe 15 minutes max.
I just think it's weird, like I say, movies and films, there are things which you take with you through life and just say, I'm going to pass this on to my son or my daughter or whatnot and say, this is part of me. This is a quality piece of entertainment which I enjoyed at a time in my life which I think will benefit you now and tell you something about me. And video games can't do that, apparently.
I don't know. I think the barometer's different. My son's growing up thinking Tap the Frog and Angry Birds is where gaming started for him.
So you think there's no value in showing him the original Super Mario Brothers, or? I think
if I sat down and showed him Manic Miner or Attic Attack, he would just think, "What is this shit?"
Oh, look at those textures. Ugh.
That's kind of sad, though,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being. Maybe I'm just being very narrow-minded about the whole thing. I just don't. Yeah, I don't see it on the same level as like an amazing piece of music or an amazing movie.
Does that say something about the medium or what you think of the medium?
I think it shows how quickly the medium's moving. That something can seem so outdated so quickly, whereas it doesn't in anything else.
Completely. Nothing dates like video games in terms of entertainment. A book will last to where all dead and gone. A book will last forever and ever and ever. Music, you could argue the same thing. Films, well, maybe films will fade and get remade, once 4K or 8K becomes a thing.
But I guess it's not even just the fact that they date, it's the fact that your ability to enjoy them goes away. You just we're not going to have access. The 360 games in 15 years, I'm probably not going to be able to access them because my 360 is broken and they didn't put them up on some sort of giant Xbox Live historic vault that I can access from any device. So I'm screwed. It's my memories only.
But this was one of the original worries with the Xbox One, though, wasn't it? which was the idea that a console that has to check in so that you could play your games, at some point, do the servers that, ping things back suddenly say, well, we'll turn those off. You've just got an obsolete box now.
I don't know. For me, it just feels like technology and the power of hardware just means that nonchalantly in 20 years, someone will just make it all work because they can, and it will be incredibly easy to implement.
Well, they've made a 1080p NES. Have you seen that?
No, Leon, have you seen this?
No, does it look sharper than my 720p Xbox One?
It probably does.
There's hope. There is hope. Tell me more. 1080p NES. That is pretty impressive. How does that? Is it just upscaling?
It strikes me as not being a good thing because when you put old games on really sharp responsive new, part of the charm was the CRT-ness.
Yeah, CRT-ness.
Yeah, I'm coining that.
Yeah.
CRT-ness. Sounds like a medical condition.
Yep, they're taking pre-orders, $499.
What?
Oh, wow.
What do you want to see in 1080p from a NES?
This is my point.
Oh.
Duck Hunt.
Oh, yes.
So that the pixels are going to be like 4 foot wide or something. Like what's going on?
It says it even has a built-in scanline generator for that retro CRT feel.
Oh God! Now that they're emulating the CRT-ness.
Will it send someone in to confiscate your controllers when you don't do your homework? That would be the ultimate emulation for me. So listen. So while we're on the subject of retro gaming, can someone talk me through this excavation of a dump in? Is it the Arizona desert?
New Mexico.
Someone just tell me why.
Why
it's
they're
an ET game,
doing
isn't it?
Yeah.
Why? Just why?
Because it was an urban myth that they'd buried stuff there, even though at the time there was an article saying they've buried stuff there, and people wanted to check that it was still there in exactly the same place where people knew they'd buried it.
I mean, I know of plenty urban myths, and of all of the ones to dispel, this wasn't really high up in the list.
No.
I was going through some news sites on my iPad the other evening, and there was just this picture of this dude holding up this box, looking so proud in the middle of this dump.
I know exactly which picture you're
I've got to
talking
read
about.
this. I gather it's for some sort of documentary or something. Did anyone catch that?
Yeah, it's for Xbox Video. Thank you.
Right.
It's part of Microsoft's new.
Coming to a console near you soon in glorious 720p.
It's their new initiative of creating
Dolby Digital 3.1.
creating unique content for, in the same way, like Netflix are doing with House of Cards.
Kind of cool.
We've got digging up ET cartridges. Never mind Series 3 of House of Cards. Check out this rubbish dump.
What I liked was there was a guy attached to it whose full title was what was it? Video game archaeologist.
Oh God, what?
Yeah.
What, you dig up video games from the ground? So this is the one case where
I was
his
gonna
job
say,
applies.
How many jobs have you had? One.
And you knew where it was. But yeah, that was a pretty pointless story. But hey, the cartridges were there, and yeah.
Did they put them back, or?
Can you imagine?
Us filmmakers and photographers, we have a rule. You always put things back the way it was.
I don't know. Is there a need? Well, they're all smashed anyway, weren't they? So they weren't exactly usable.
Yeah.
Listen, anyone pulling something out of that dump after 20, 30 years expecting it to work is not of sound mind.
A bit dusty.
Well, apparently a lot of them came out in really good condition though, because they were still in the actual shipping containers and everything. So it was quite weird. They were pulling out what looked like brand new cartridges.
I've got to say though, that freaks me out a little bit. I mean, this is totally unrelated to video games, but when you throw rubbish away, you never really think about it still being there in 30 years.
It's just been buried somewhere. Or burned.
Yeah, but surely we'll run out of space eventually.
Well, we'll be dead by then, but yeah.
Okay.
Oh, right, well, that's okay.
It's not our problem. But yes, it's a problem.
Some other loser generation, they can worry about it.
Yeah. Exactly. What else we got here? It's been a really quiet month.
I've played no games at all this month as well.
I've been playing an excellent game.
Go on.
Don Bradman Cricket 14.
What the hell?
Oh, that actually sounds like my cup of tea, does that?
Is that for the NES or something?
No, it's on PS3 and Xbox 360.
Oh my god, it is.
And honestly, it's one of those games that you take onto review during a quiet month, thinking nothing about it, because it had been delayed several times. In fact, I think it was going to be coming out to time with the Ashes, and even then it got delayed again from one Ashes series to another.
What was the delay? Creative differences?
I think it was just looking pretty shonky, but it is absolutely. I think it's fantastic. It's pretty much everything you would expect a really good cricket game to be, and I know there haven't been that many of them, but the level of detail that's gone into it, it's one of those titles that you just kind of.
Can you basically see like all of the old sleeping men in the stands? Has it got that level of detail?
It's no, graphics wise, it's not great. It's standard, cardboard cutouts that stand on the boundaries and that kind of thing. So everything, every kind of detail has gone into the animation of the actual players, but it's just got, everything in terms of, tinkering with the field and just, different types of balls that can be delivered. Just anything that you think of that's in cricket is in this game.
Ball tampering?
Oh, I don't know if you can tamper with your balls. But
can you shine? Can you shine your balls on one side so
you
they swing?
You can shine. You can shine.
Oh, really?
The ball. Yeah, you can.
You might have just sold this to me.
Yep. Oh, it's got swing bowling. It's got and it uses. What's interesting is a little bit like Fight Night. So you actually use the sticks to kind of select which ball to throw, and then you've got to give the left thumbstick a bit of a spin if you've got a spin bowler.
I just want to jump in here, and this is not going to make the edit, by the way.
Don Bradman is not even alive.
No, of course he's.
Who is he? Who was he?
He was a legendary Australian cricketer.
Right. Okay. Oh, fair play. I mean, look, I don't know the rules of cricket. I think I would like to know, but not enough that I'm actually going to learn.
I'd like to know, but I really don't want to know.
I don't ever see the excitement in it. Like, a game of football, I can go and be on the edge of my seat, thrilled. It could be tragic.
You can drink in a cricket ground.
Yeah.
You can get slowly drunk in the sun.
I think playing cricket's a lot more exciting than watching it, because I always enjoyed myself playing cricket. And to be fair, it was more of play cricket for an afternoon and then get really drunk after about 6 o'clock with the rest of the team. So it was half a sport and half just getting really drunk. So for that, I think that's why I like cricket anyway. So I can get along with it. I think once you've played it, you do enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I mean, I played it at school. I enjoyed it at school. But now, as a spectator, 4 for 200 and something, the numbers are all too big. I just don't get it. Rugby's the same. The numbers are just too big.
Oh, too big?
It's all a bit odd.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe the next time we do this, we'll have had E3.
It's weird, isn't it? It's really strange.
The last E3 special we did was 2 hours long.
Jeez.
Oh. So would that make it our third E3 special or our fourth?
God, every time you mention how long we've been doing this podcast, I just don't believe you.
Yeah, no, this is definitely the third year for sure.
It's like we have not been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah. You think it'd get easier?
Or we'd get better.
Yeah.
Don't reach the top.
Although, just because we said we were going to Lego The Hobbit, now we can end.
What? Why have we got to mention it?
Yeah, we got to mention it. The thread said somebody mentioned Lego The Hobbit. So
someone reviewing it, or
Lego The Hobbit exists.
James reviewed it, didn't he?
Yeah, James reviewed Lego The Hobbit.
Where did they draw the line? Did someone suggest adult themed?
That's Mark on it.
Yeah.
Lego.
In fact,
Adult what?
No, I was just saying that
Lego House of Cards.
Yeah, that in fact the Lego games, I think they've got good kind of, family-friendly humour in there, but if they made a more mature-themed Lego game, I think it would work.
Right, I thought you meant Lego porn. Sorry.
But that would work. I'll bet you.
Lego Debbie Does Dallas.
Yeah.
Go and Google that. I bet you someone's already done that.
I am not Googling
without a doubt.
Lego Debbie Does Dallas.
I'll Google it.
Yeah,
I'll Google it.
go on.
Lego Debbie does
Just hit I'm feeling lucky on Google.
Right. I haven't got anything in the images. Lego Debbie Does Dallas on Facebook. Apparently, it's
Lego
a film.
porn.
Lego porn. Oh yeah, obviously. I'll
Well,
Google
yeah,
that,
that's a broad term. So
Lego porn. Right. Let me have a look. I'll just go straight to images and make it easy for us. Yeah, there's a picture of a woman Lego character with a Lego policeman's penis in her hand, while
Jesus
another
Christ.
Lego character films it.
you couldn't have at least called it his truncheon. I mean, yeah.
There's
It was
a
right
picture
there.
of
It was right there.
There's a picture of a Lego man who's dressed as a builder with a drill, and he's drilling a Lego lady's behind. Oh dear, there's a Lego Santa, and he's getting what I can only call pulled off by Lego Santa Mrs. Claus.
So in answer to the question, yes, it has been done.
Do you reckon they're at a position now where people actually come to them and say, "Do you want to do a Lego
Oh yeah,
thing?"
Do you think they sell that much though?
probably.
I reckon they do.
I think I tried to play one of the Star Wars ones, and I dislike games where there are no consequences. I think I stood there at one point, and when I stopped playing I jumped off the edge of a ledge, and it just respawned me. And I
But
jumped
you lost
off again,
pieces.
and it respawned me. Yeah, but
Lose all your little silver and gold
I'm just like,
things.
why? If I can't die, then then there's no penalty apart from losing these.
Do you want
these
a
Okay.
permadeath Lego game?
Yes, that's exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Dark Souls, Lego Dark Souls. Done.
Go Dark Souls. There's literally my next question was going to be putting porn aside. Like, let's find the alternative Lego series. I love that Lego Dark Souls. Brilliant.
Lego LA Noir would be nice.
Lego LA Noir.
How can you tell if anyone's lying? There's only like 2 expressions.
Are we doing any predictions?
E3 predictions.
Are we doing anything, or are we just not bothering?
Can I predict a sequel for The Last of Us, and then when it actually is a thing, everyone treats me as a god?
I honestly don't have any predictions for E3. I think that's the point with my predictions. I predict we will get things that you can't predict.
I reckon
Is that a valid prediction?
Project Morpheus. I think that's got a kind of feature.
I don't
heavy
know what that is.
VR.
Yeah, it's their Oculus Rift in it.
They're bound to show off Drive Club.
That's got a release date now.
Yeah, and so I think with everything, with the momentum growing behind Oculus Rift, I think Sony perhaps will push everything towards Project Morpheus and saying to people, perhaps out next year.
Can I just go off track a sec? I read an article after our conversation about Oculus Rift last month, and one of the big demos that they're touting is you put the headset on and you're in a movie theatre and you can watch a movie and you can look around the cinema while you're watching the movie.
Yep.
Why? Why on earth would you want to do this?
So you can watch something on a 100-inch screen when you don't have an 100-inch screen.
Yeah.
See, we've had this for a while. It's called the cinema.
That involves
Yeah,
real
but you're
life.
forgetting.
You've got You
to the
pay your money.
cashier. You've got to buy popcorn from another person.
You've got to
Who
tut
wants
at
these
someone
people in the
who's
way?
using their mobile phone.
Yeah. People are crap, and that is the message that this is putting across. I don't want to
Don't
deal
go
with
outside.
people. Yeah. You can have outside, inside now.
Yeah.
So get over it.
So that tickled me. I thought, wow, if this is going to go somewhere, seriously, guys, we need to think outside the box. Guys, massive thanks, as always, for your time. And also, listener, thank you to you. If you have enjoyed the show and would like to review us, if you haven't enjoyed the show and would like to slate us, please swing by the thread or give us some feedback on iTunes. Noel, are you on Twitter?
I am now, yeah.
Do you want to...
I'm going to be honest with you.
Deets?
I'm that much of a Twitter fan that I don't even know what I'm called. Just let me Google quickly. Oh, I'm at Gilberto27. That's
Okay.
my old Xbox tag.
Rolls off the tongue. I'm Steve_Hillskill. Feel free to message me. I don't tend to speak about games much on there, more football and movies.
I've done one tweet, and it was sorry, this is a bit off topic, but I did one tweet, and it was Xbox posted a picture of loads of Xbox controllers arranged in the formation of the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones, and their tweet said something like, "Oh, we can beat Game of Thrones any day," something like that. It obviously wasn't that, but it was something along those lines. And my only tweet so far was, "Doesn't Game of Thrones come out in 1080p though?"
Wow.
I like it. Follow him for more gems.
I was quite keen on that. Yeah.
Huge thanks to Leon.
Yep, no worries. If you want to get in contact with me, send a self-addressed envelope to PO Box 94.
The Midlands.
And I'll read out the physical responses next week.
I actually hope this happens now.
It'd be amazing, to be honest.
Someone somewhere with that PO box is going to get a flood. And they're like, what on earth is this? Probably like an MI6 communique or something. And we're like, really? They want to action that plan? Okay. Massive thanks to Mark.
Cheers, Steve.
And we will catch you all next month.
You got that predator drone, son.
Let's do this!